I think we should just slide over to a couple of Disney upfront announcements that came this past week. And I just want to talk about 2 show announcements. I know we're a movie podcast, but we do enjoy the MCU and they're intertwined with films. We have some news regarding Echo, a TV series that's a spin-off of Hawkeye that came, I believe, 2 Christmas seasons ago. And then we have news on Loki, which is obviously hotly discussed based on Jonathan Majors, him as Kang, following Quantumania, domestic abuse arrest. And let's start with Echo. All episodes of Echo are going to release on November 29th on Disney+. So we're not getting a show aside from Secret Invasion now until the fall, because we're going to have Loki October 6th. This is interesting because we're getting all episodes dropping at one time. Do you take this one of 2 ways, Ricky Flex? One, Disney Plus Marvel show trying to change up the tempo rather than having so much way each and every week on a project that you just have them all drop at once? Or is it more of, we should not have greenlit this show, that we not enough people care about this character, maybe this actress isn't experienced enough to really carry a Marvel TV show? Which one do you think, Ricky Flex? Do you think it was one they don't trust it, or they just want to switch it up?
Don't trust it. Bury it as quickly as possible.
That's what I thought too.
Too much money in this, so they can't not release it. They're not going to pull a DC Batgirl. They don't have the balls to do it. Disney, a family program, they don't have the balls to do it. So they're like, all right, just release them all, and over a course of a week, either enough people are going to watch it and talk about it, but that buzz is going to be gone in a week or two, or nobody's going to watch it and nobody cares. That's easily what this is. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a reason why, like, this is unique, and like they're saying this isn't normal. This isn't normal. You're right. This isn't normal because this show's gonna suck.
Like Daredevil showing up in like 2 episodes, is that enough to do a weekly drop? It really, I think they learned from She-Hulk. That wasn't enough. You know what I thought of immediately? This is like beginning of Batman Returns, where the Cobblepots, they have this kid and they find out it's like, oh my God, it's really ugly. Oh my God, we have to like find a way to disown this kid. And they just put it down the river. That's Tim what Burton it felt like.
In the news.
Yeah. 4-part doc coming on, Tim Burton. But I know there's a lot of like docs on Hollywood figures that are coming out right now. I got to still watch Still with Michael J. Fox, but it felt like they took Echo, they put it in a baby carriage, dropped it in the river and said, okay, let's just not remember this. And if it's good, they'll be like, okay, yeah, that's ours. You know? Or it turns out to be like a menacing villain that no one wants to speak of. I'm going to say the latter. I don't have any faith in that show whatsoever. And I think they noticed they took a little bit of risk, the MCU, with the shows that they greenlit in the first place, in the lower tier characters. And we're talking the lowest tier of the lowest tiers when you're talking about Echo. Like, who's ever heard of this character? And it's got a nice story to it in terms of, okay, we have an actress here who's deaf, and it can be very inclusive. But when it all push comes to shove, is this going to be a good show? Is it going to be well acted? And I mean, I think this tells me no.
No, definitely not.
Let's slide over to more of the juicy news here. Loki season 2 premiering October 6th on Disney Plus. There is also rumors swirling around Loki that they have an ending of Kang the Conqueror, or Kang, I should say, not necessarily the Conqueror. I think Kang the Conqueror was just in Quantumania, but this variant of Kang that we're going to see primarily in Loki season 2 will have a finite ending. And almost by having this pushback release, by not having it immediately after Secret Invasion, not giving us Kang immediately, it can do one of 2 things. I feel like they have multiple endings brewing here. One that continues what Jonathan Majors will do for the MCU, or will allow them an escape route where they don't have to go to Kang Dynasty and they can move towards a different villain for the upcoming Avengers movie and not as heavily lean on one Jonathan Majors. Ricky Flex, are we on the same page?
I agree with you on what you just said there. It will give them an escape route. But at the same time, I want to say they won't close the door on Jonathan Majors either. You know, a lot of things can change from now until October. So I think, yes, they're going to give themselves a way out of here. But you know what? We're not going to have a normal MCU project. They're not going to kill off a character. Definitely. Look at Wanda and Doctor Strange. It looks like she'll be back in the MCU sooner than later. So she's not really dead. Spoiler alert. So I think it's gonna be the same thing with Jonathan Majors here.
Can you put a percentage on the likelihood of Kang Dynasty happening right now from this day?
From this day, I still think it's higher than people think.
So, because
Um,
I mean, he's dropping out of projects. He's not really dropping out. His agency has dropped him, right? He's being dropped from projects. And do you think that Marvel could just be playing the waiting game a little bit, see how all this the legal stuff plays out before this October 6th drop, and they can decide on a specific ending they want for the show?
yes, yes, completely. And like, just look at Ezra Miller. The man was actually arrested for multiple different crimes, and I'm not saying any crimes are more or less than others. What I'm saying is just doesn't matter. The guy had burglary, child stuff going on, like a lot of shady stuff as well. And he's about to star in one of the biggest movies of the year. And he might continue playing the character and he's going to continue his career. So I think Jonathan Majors
Is it
here,
worth the risk?
yeah, like it might be. And I just think that they're not going to come out and say the movie's done or Jonathan Majors is done. They're going to just do nothing because it allows them to do nothing. It's like, okay, it's just like we'll have a backup plan, a plan B, which I think you're right. And low key will have that. It's just that they're not going to cancel themselves cancel them on a plan A, where
Right.
the plan A, their ceiling is incredibly high versus a plan B is their ceiling just drops significantly.
And it feels like Feige and company, they're leaving it a bit ambiguous. They're not saying it's because of this, but audiences kind of can't assume that. And also like the rut that the MCU has been in, right? The mediocre projects that have come time and time again. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was a nice kind of like resurgence, but I mean, as we talked about with that review, check it out on our feed. Um this is like it's a bon voyage to like James Gunn to many of these characters, aside from a couple. Um, yeah, and you can also say like, hey, these Disney Plus shows have been a failure. Like aside from uh Loki, which has been like I would say most audiences received all the way through episodes 1 through the finale, where people are like, yeah, that was worth a TV show, right? Like WandaVision had its moments, but like episode 1 through the finale, I wouldn't say it had the success rate that a Loki did. And here it's like you could just say, hey, we're just pushing away from this. Hopefully, Secret Invasion hits, and people are going to be asking for another Marvel series. And then here comes boom, Loki season 2.
Yeah, it's a great back-to-back setup here for the MCU and Disney Plus. And we could be going into November saying, wow, like does Marvel have like building our trust again? You know, like we might be going into the Echo and saying like maybe I will at least try this series rather than last year when I would just really I didn't even try the Marvels or whatever Miss Marvel.
Oh,
I
I
don't
forgot the Marvels are coming, dude. I
and the
forgot. I
Marvels
said,
is coming out in November as well, or I
n-
think November,
oh yeah,
December.
got pushed back, dude. And
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
next Marvel film, isn't it?
exactly. So it
Oh my
really needs these
god.
to hit. Um, the fact that we're not even like you forgot, like says it all. So it's just like, all right, like, is he gonna get back to maybe it's never gonna get back to its peak, but is it gonna get back to being reliable? Or just at the minimum, hey, you gotta check it out at least because you're still committed to the brand. You know, you got to watch this before you watch this movie, even though they're different characters, but this happens in that. Is it going to have that? Because they're losing it as they did with us. Because since we didn't even watch Miss Marvel last year.